The whispers began subtle, a faint rustle from the corner of the room, always when the lights were out. Then came the shadows, shifting, writhing within the frame. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the house settling. It was the painting, and it was watching. A primal fear gripped anyone who dared to look. Imagine a canvas so saturated with despair, so infused with a tormented spirit, that its very presence radiates malevolence. This isn't a ghost story about a house or a forgotten cemetery. This is about a fear far more intimate, far more insidious, an entity trapped within an everyday object, brought into your home, capable of influencing your very sanity. A curse from beyond the canvas, woven into the very threads of reality. Sean Robinson from Cumbria, England, inherited more than just an old family heirloom. He inherited a nightmare. His grandmother had warned him, a hushed confession passed down through generations, a secret burdened by dread. The artist, she'd explained, was a man consumed by his own darkness, driven to the brink by an unseen torment. He had mixed his own blood into the pigments, a macabre ritual, a final, desperate act of self-expression, before ending his life in the throes of an agonizing despair, moments after the final brushstroke. The painting, she said, was a self-portrait of his torment, and it never truly let go of its creator or the agonizing memory of his final moments. From a moment Sean took possession of the Anguished Man, the atmosphere in his home shifted dramatically. A palpable chill clung to the air around the canvas. Even on the warmest days, a cold that seemed to seep into the very bones. Doors would slam shut with alarming force, seemingly on their own, startling them awake in the dead of night. Unexplained noises echoed through empty rooms, creaks, groans, something that sounded like muffled footsteps. But it was the painting itself that truly unnerved him, its unsettling power growing with each passing day. Its textures, already unsettling, seemed to deepen, to pulse with a faint, almost imperceptible light, a dark energy vibrating beneath the surface. The eyes, dark hollows in the tormented face, felt like they followed him. Always, everywhere, a silent, unblinking judgment. He started hearing things that defied explanation. Soft scratching, sounds originating from directly behind the heavy wooden frame. A low, guttural moan that would reverberate through the house late at night, seeming to come from the very walls. His wife, growing increasingly disturbed and sleep-deprived, claimed to frequently see a tall, dark figure standing motionless at the foot of their bed, its form indistinct but its presence undeniably menacing. Every time she woke in a cold sweat, her terrified gaze was involuntarily drawn to the portrait, hanging innocently in the hallway. It felt like an anchor, she whispered, pulling something dark and ancient into their lives, slowly, inexorably. Sean, a man of logic and reason, initially dismissed these occurrences with a rational mind. He sought logical explanations, drafts from old windows, the creaking of old pipes, overactive imaginations fueled by stress. But the incidents escalated, becoming more frequent, more intense, more impossible to ignore. Objects would move on their own. Small trinkets would vanish from shelves, only to reappear in bizarre, impossible locations, sometimes directly in front of the painting, as if placed there by an unseen hand. Then came the tears, actual, liquid tears running down the canvas, staining the tortured face with fresh misery, leaving glistening trails. They would appear, pool at the chin, then slowly dry, leaving faint, shimmering streaks. He tried to wipe them away once. The paint felt cold, unnaturally cold, a chilling, damp touch against his fingertips. One night, pushed to his absolute limit, Sean decided to record what was happening. He set up a camera, carefully positioning it directly at the Anguished Man, hoping to capture proof of a natural phenomenon, or perhaps expose a trick of light. He wanted proof. He wanted to debunk the supernatural, to reclaim his peace of mind, to finally sleep soundly again. What he captured, however, only plunged him deeper into the abyss of the unknown, shaking his beliefs to their core. The camera, positioned perfectly, recorded the painting moving. Slowly, subtly, the heavy wooden frame shifted and swayed, almost as if it were breathing, expanding and contracting with a life of its own. A faint, dark mist seemed to emanate directly from the canvas, swirling, coiling like smoke, before receding back into the painted depths. The recorded audio, too, was chilling beyond belief. Faint, indecipherable whispers, a low, ominous hum, then a distinct, agonizing wail. A sound that tore at the fabric of sanity, a sound of pure, unadulterated suffering. He shared his story, initially with close friends who struggled to believe him, then online, desperate for answers or validation. The internet, a magnet for the strange and unexplained, quickly latched onto the Anguished Man videos of its alleged phenomena spread like wildfire, captivating millions. Paranormal investigators contacted him from around the globe. Skeptics descended, eager to expose a hoax, to tear down the story with scientific scrutiny. But the painting, a silent, unsettling sentinel, continued its disturbing influence, defying all attempts at simple explanation. People who visited Sean's home reported similar, unnerving experiences. Feelings of intense dread, a crushing weight on their chest. Sudden, dramatic drops in temperature, as if walking into a freezer. The distinct sensation of being watched, of unseen eyes scrutinizing their every move. One visitor claimed to have seen the eyes of the painted figure actually blink, a slow, deliberate movement. Another swore they heard a child crying from inside the painting itself, a faint, heartbreaking sob. The consensus was growing. Something truly malevolent resided within the canvas. Something that didn't want to be disturbed. Something that wanted out. And it was growing stronger. Sean, desperate for definitive answers and a way out of his nightmare, even considered destroying the painting. He stood before it, hammer in hand, his heart pounding. But a terrifying, paralyzing thought stopped him cold. What if destroying the vessel only released the entity within, unbound and uncontained? What if the canvas, for all its terror, was actually containing something far worse, something unimaginable? The idea that he was a reluctant jailer, holding back an ancient, tormented spirit, was almost too much to bear, a responsibility he never asked for, yet could not escape. His initial attempts to sell the painting were met with universal fear and apprehension. No one, no matter how curious or how skeptical, wanted to invite such a dark presence into their lives, to risk their own sanity. The painting became an infamous curio, a magnet for both fervent believers and determined debunkers. But its unsettling power remained, its mysteries deepening. It hung in Sean's home, a constant, silent reminder of the darkness it harbored, a portal to despair. The legend of the Anguished Man grew exponentially. Stories of its origins were embellished, its alleged powers amplified to mythological proportions. Some claimed the artist was not merely suicidal, but a deranged cultist, his blood mixed with dark incantations, binding a demon. Others whispered of a pact with something ancient, something that demanded a constant tribute of despair, feeding on human fear. The painting, they said, was never meant to be just art. It was a gateway, a prison, or perhaps a living curse, an echo of pure agony. So what is the truth behind the Anguished Man? Can a painting truly be haunted? Leading theory number one. It is genuinely, undeniably haunted. The artist, in his suicidal despair, a man on the precipice of madness, infused his very essence, his tormented spirit, into the canvas. His own blood, a biological link beyond scientific comprehension, acted as a conduit, forever binding his agony to the painted form. The subsequent phenomena, the sounds, the movements, the inexplicable tears, the dark figures, are direct manifestations of this trapped entity, reaching out, desperate for release, or perhaps desperate to inflict its own suffering upon others, a spreading contagion of despair. The sheer consistency of the reported events, the independent accounts from multiple, unrelated witnesses, the inexplicable recordings captured on camera, all point to something profoundly beyond rational explanation. The painting is not merely an object. It is a sentient prison of sorrow, a living monument to human anguish. Leading theory number 2. It is an elaborate, cunning hoax, meticulously crafted for fame or fortune. Sean Robinson, a clever showman, or perhaps someone driven by a desire for viral notoriety, fabricated the entire story. The grandmother's warning, the artist's blood, the suicide, all could be carefully constructed elements of a compelling, terrifying narrative designed to captivate. The tears? Simple condensation, or a cleverly applied, slow-drying substance. The movements? Subtle vibrations, or perhaps even invisible fishing line and tiny magnets, expertly concealed within the frame or wall. The sounds? Cleverly timed audio recordings played from hidden speakers, or even the immense power of suggestion working on impressionable minds, primed to believe. In an age of viral content, a good story, even a manufactured one, can spread globally, captivating millions, blurring the lines between reality and fiction. The mystery itself becomes the product, the enduring allure. But consider this carefully. If it is a hoax, it is one of the most meticulously maintained and consistently executed hoaxes in modern history, spanning years, convincing hundreds, defying easy debunking by even the most determined skeptics. And if it is truly haunted, then we are left with a terrifying, profound implication. That an ordinary object, something as innocuous as a painting, can become a vessel for unspeakable darkness, a conduit for a soul's eternal torment. That the line between the tangible and the spectral is far thinner, far more permeable than we dare to imagine. That the anguish of soul can transcend death, forever imprinted, forever active within the very fabric of our world, waiting to be discovered, waiting to awaken. Look at it again. The eyes. Do you feel them watching you even now? Does the despair reach out to you, a cold tendril across the screen? Or is it simply paint on canvas, a trick of light and shadow, and your own mind playing tricks? What if, just what if, the entity within doesn't want you to believe it's a hoax? What if doubt itself is its greatest weapon, leaving you forever questioning, forever unsettled? And what if, just what if you now look too closely?